The verdict is in. Sirhan Sirhan was convicted of first-degree murder today in the assassination of Senator Robert Kennedy last June 5th. Sirhan will be sentenced either to death in the gas chamber or life imprisonment. The jury will determine the penalty next week. ABC's John Davenport was in the Los Angeles courtroom when the jury brought in its findings.
At 10:47 this morning, the jury said it had reached a verdict. As artist Bill Lignati shows, 25 minutes later, the courtroom was full and silent. We looked at Judge Herbert Walker. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do you have a verdict?" he asked. "We do, Your Honor," said jury foreman Bruce Elliott, who handed it to a bailiff. The bailiff gave it to Judge Walker, who read it to himself. I looked at Sirhan. He sat with fists clenched, but with no outward emotion. Sheriff's deputies stood near him, uncertain of his reaction. Now the verdict was to be made public. Clerk Alice Nishikawa read it aloud and calmly. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Sirhan Sirhan, guilty of murder, a felony. We further find it to be murder in the first degree." Sirhan did not move. His face was blank. There were none of the nervous smiles I've so often seen, and no outbursts. The people of California had passed judgment on the 25-year-old Arab.
We think it was the appropriate verdict. We think that the jury analyzed the evidence and expressed the conscience, if you will, of the community and the reaction of the community to this particular offense. I think this is a unique case without precedent, and I feel that the jury will express the conscience of the nation and the reaction of the nation to this kind of a crime. We have no precedent. What is an appropriate penalty for a political assassination in this country? I don't know. I think the jury will give us that answer. We're going to suggest to them the factors weighing for death and against death, and let them exercise their absolute discretion.
Well, first, of course, naturally, one is disappointed. But I'm not going to quarrel with this jury. They had the case fully presented to them, fairly presented to them by both sides, and I'm not going to quarrel, or while I personally may disagree with it, I'm not going to quarrel with this jury. They've given it serious consideration, and this is their verdict. I honestly don't know what was in their mind. Obviously, they have been convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he could maturely and meaningfully premeditate.
Monday, the jury begins a penalty trial which could last about 3 days. Sirhan will either get life in prison or the death sentence. John Davenport, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Sirhan's mother, Mary, and a brother, Adel, learned of the verdict at their home over the radio. Adel told a newsman, "We feel terrible. There is nothing more I can say." He said, "We didn't expect this verdict." I'll have more news in a moment.